Means we're putting back together and we're fixing without parts from Bugatti, and we've already done and accomplished what we were told couldn't be done, which is give us...
The entire automotive world fell silent when Bugatti CEO finally broke his silence and responded directly to Mat Armstrong's incredible journey with the wrecked Veyron. For months, fans had watched Mat do what many believe was impossible, taking a destroyed hypercar that even experts consider beyond repair and bringing it back to life piece by piece. But nobody expected the reaction that came next. Instead of criticism, legal threats, or complete silence, Bugatti's CEO delivered a statement that shocked both supporters and critics alike. His words seemed to acknowledge not only the difficulty to rebuild, but also the passion, determination, and engineering brilliance that Mat had displayed throughout the project. Suddenly, this was no longer just a YouTuber fixing a broken supercar. It had become a story about challenging the limits of what is possible. Social media exploded. Car enthusiasts couldn't stop talking, and one question echoed across the internet. Had Mat Armstrong earned the respect of one of the world's most exclusive car manufacturers? Whatever the answer, one thing became clear. The relationship between Bugatti and Mat Armstrong had just entered an entirely unexpected new chapter. As news of the CEO's response spread across the internet, millions of people rushed back to watch every stage of Mat Armstrong's Bugatti journey. They remembered the day he first revealed the wrecked Veyron, a car that looked more like a pile of expensive parts than a machine capable of reaching 250 miles per hour. Experts questioned the project from the very beginning. Some said the repair costs would be too high. Others claimed that certain parts could never be sourced outside Bugatti's own network. But Mat never backed down. Every setback became another challenge to overcome, and every problem only made the audience more invested in the story. The rebuild itself became something much bigger than a YouTube series. It represented determination, creativity, and a refusal to accept that something is impossible simply because everyone else says it is. Every bolt tightened, every panel aligned, and every engine component installed carried a message. Passion can achieve things that money alone cannot. The world watched as Mat and his team worked late into the night, solving problems that even experienced mechanics would hesitate to touch. Then came the moment that changed everything. The car finally roared back to life. After months of uncertainty, hearing the Bugatti engine start again felt like witnessing history. The sound wasn't just an engine firing up. It was proof that persistence had won. Fans celebrated across social media, calling it one of the greatest automotive rebuilds ever documented online. Even people who had never followed car content before found themselves drawn into the incredible comeback story. And perhaps that was exactly what caught Bugatti's attention. The company has spent decades building an image of perfection, exclusivity, and engineering excellence. Seeing one of its most iconic cars resurrected by an independent creator was something nobody had predicted. It challenged assumptions and proved that true passion for cars exists far beyond factory walls and corporate headquarters. The CEO's response seemed to recognize this reality. While nobody expected Bugatti to openly embrace the project, the acknowledgement alone sent shockwaves to the automotive community. To many fans, it felt like a symbolic victory, not just for Mat Armstrong, but for every enthusiast who dreams of doing something extraordinary. Suddenly, the impossible didn't seem so impossible anymore. As discussions continued online, another question emerged. What happens next? Would Bugatti offer support? Would there be collaboration in the future? Or would this simply remain a remarkable chapter in automotive history? No one knew the answers, but the mystery only made the story even more fascinating. One thing, however, was undeniable. Mat Armstrong had achieved something very few people ever do. He had forced one of the world's most prestigious car manufacturers to pay attention. Through determination, hard work, and an unwavering belief in his abilities, he turned a destroyed hypercar into a global phenomenon. And as the dust settled and the excitement continued to build, fans everywhere realized they weren't just watching a car being repaired anymore. They were witnessing the rise of a creator who had changed the conversation around automotive restoration forever. If Bugatti's CEO truly respected what had been accomplished, then this story was far from over. Because sometimes the biggest victories don't happen on a racetrack or inside a factory. Sometimes they happen in a workshop with a few tools, an impossible dream, and someone brave enough to prove the entire world wrong. But the story didn't end with the CEO's statement. In many ways, That response only added more fuel to the fire. Car enthusiasts began asking a question that nobody had dared to ask before. If a small independent team could bring a crashed Bugatti back to life, what does that say about the future of automotive restoration? For years, hypercars have been viewed as untouchable machines, vehicles so complex and exclusive that only factory-trained engineers could work on them. Yet Mat Armstrong had just challenged that belief in front of millions of people. Every new update on the Veyron attracted more viewers than the last. People weren't simply watching for the car anymore. They were watching because they had become emotionally invested in the journey. They had seen the setbacks, the sleepless nights, the failed attempts, and the moments when the project looked completely impossible. Each obstacle made the eventual success even more satisfying. It became a reminder that the greatest achievements often come after the toughest struggles. Meanwhile, the automotive industry was paying attention. Manufacturers around the world understand the power of storytelling, and few stories have captured the internet quite like this one. A man buying a wrecked Bugatti and refusing to give up until it drove again was the kind of underdog story people love. It inspired mechanics, young engineers, and dreamers everywhere believe that even the most impossible projects can be achieved with enough dedication. Then another surprising thing happened. The rebuild started changing the way people viewed Bugatti itself. Instead of seeing the brand as distant and untouchable, many fans began discussing its engineering in a new light. The Veyron's incredible complexity became part of the attraction. People gained a deeper appreciation for the machine because they had watched every challenge involved in bringing it back to life. Ironically, Mat's journey may have introduced an entirely new generation of fans to Bugatti. The internet exploded with theories about what the CEO's response really meant. Was it simple recognition? Was it admiration? Or was it the beginning of a relationship that nobody saw coming? Some believed Bugatti might eventually support the project in some way. Others thought the company was simply impressed that someone had achieved what so many considered impossible. But perhaps the most powerful part of the story is what it represents. In today's world, people often believe that only huge companies with unlimited resources can accomplish extraordinary things. Mat Armstrong proved the opposite. He showed that passion, determination, and relentless effort can sometimes achieve results that leave even the biggest names in the industry surprised. As the rebuilt Veyron finally returned to the road, it carried far more than an engine and four wheels. It carried months of hard work, countless setbacks, and the dreams of millions of viewers who had followed every step of the journey. Every mile it traveled became a symbol of persistence and courage. And somewhere in the middle of all this, Bugatti CEO responded in a way that nobody expected. That single moment transformed an incredible rebuild into something even bigger. A story about respect, passion, and the power of refusing to quit. Because in the end, this wasn't just about fixing a broken Bugatti. It was about proving that impossible dreams can become reality. And sometimes, when you dare to chase those dreams, even the most powerful people in the world have no choice but to stop, watch, and respond. As the excitement continued to grow, one thing became impossible to ignore. Mat Armstrong had turned a crashed hypercar into one of the biggest automotive stories on the internet. Every new video felt like another chapter in a movie that nobody wanted to end. The comments section was filled with people from all over the world saying the same thing. They had never seen anything like this before. What started as a risky project had become a global phenomenon. Even veteran car enthusiasts admitted that they underestimated the rebuild. At first, many believed the damaged Veyron would simply become a source of spare parts or remain a garage ornament forever. But Mat kept pushing forward. Every challenge that should have ended the project somehow became another reason to continue. A missing component? Find another solution. A technical problem? Learn how to fix it. A part that cost thousands of dollars? Figure out another way. That determination became the heart of the entire story. The response from Bugatti CEO suddenly made all those struggles feel even more meaningful. It wasn't just a statement anymore. It was recognition that something special had happened. In the world of hypercars, respect is earned, not given. And whether intentionally or not, the CEO's words gave millions of viewers the feeling that Mat had earned a place in a conversation that very few independent creators ever get to join. The impact of the project reached far beyond YouTube. Young mechanics began sharing clips of the rebuild in workshops and classrooms. Car enthusiasts started discussing engineering concepts that they had never cared about before. People who knew nothing about turbochargers, cooling systems, or carbon fiber construction suddenly became fascinated by the incredible complexity of the Veyron. The project had become educational, inspirational, and entertaining all at the same time. Then came another realization. The rebuild wasn't only changing perceptions about Bugatti, it was changing perceptions about content creators themselves. Years ago, few people would believe that a YouTuber could influence the automotive industry or capture the attention of one of the world's most exclusive manufacturers. But the digital world had changed everything. Passion projects could now reach millions of people, and one determined creator could inspire an audience larger than many traditional media companies. As the rebuilt Bugatti continued to make headlines, speculation about the future only intensified. Could this story lead to new opportunities? Would other manufacturers begin paying closer attention to independent restorations? Could more creators attempt projects that were once considered impossible? Nobody knew the answers, but one thing was certain. The rules had changed. And perhaps that is why the CEO's response mattered so much. It wasn't merely about one man and one car. It was a symbol of something bigger. It represented a bridge between the old world of exclusive automotive engineering and the new world of digital creators, where passion and determination can capture the imagination of millions. For Mat Armstrong, the rebuilt Veyron is more than a machine. It is proof that taking risks can lead to extraordinary outcomes. It is proof that setbacks do not define the end of the journey. And most importantly, it is proof that impossible dreams are only impossible until someone decides to attempt them as the sun set on another chapter of this incredible story. Fans around the world were left with feeling that something historic had just happened. A wrecked Bugatti had returned to life. A creator had defied every expectation. And the CEO of one of the most prestigious car brands on earth had responded in a way that nobody saw coming. And if this journey has taught us anything, it is this. Never underestimate the power of passion, because sometimes a dream built in a small workshop can echo all the way to the top of the automotive world. But perhaps the most incredible part of this entire journey is that nobody can predict what happens. Next, the rebuilt Veyron is no longer just a repaired hypercar. It has become a symbol of determination and a reminder that the impossible can sometimes become reality. Every time the engine starts and those 4 turbochargers come alive, it tells a story of persistence, risk, and an unwavering belief that no challenge is too big. The world has seen expensive car rebuilds before, but this one feels different. There was drama, uncertainty, and moments when the project seemed completely finished. There were times when one missing part, one unexpected problem, or one huge bill could have ended everything. Yet somehow, the project kept moving forward. That is why millions of people connected with the story. They weren't just watching someone repair a Bugatti. They were watching someone refuse to give up. The CEO's response only made the story even more legendary. In a world where major companies often remain silent, a reaction from the very top of Bugatti felt almost surreal. It showed that extraordinary work has a way of getting noticed, no matter where it comes from. Whether you're in a massive factory or a small workshop, passion and determination can command respect. As more people discovered the series, the numbers continue to climb. Millions of views turned into millions of supporters. Fans began calling it one of the greatest automotive comebacks ever filmed. Some even compared it to restoring a priceless piece of art after it had been destroyed. Because that is exactly what the Veyron is, an engineering masterpiece that changed the automotive world forever. For Mat Armstrong, however, this journey was never just about views or headlines. It was about proving something to himself. It was about taking on a challenge that everyone else said was impossible and finding a way to succeed. Every late night in the garage, every frustrating setback, and every difficult decision led to this moment. And now, with the entire automotive community watching, one question remains unanswered. What is the next impossible project? Because after rebuilding one of the world's most complicated hypercars and earning a response from Bugatti's CEO, nothing seems out of reach anymore. Perhaps this story will inspire a new generation of builders and dreamers. Perhaps it will encourage someone sitting in a small garage somewhere in the world to take on a challenge that everyone else says cannot be done. Because that is the true power of stories like this. They remind us that limits are often meant to be broken. Years from now, people may not remember every technical detail to rebuild or every problem that had to be solved. But they will remember the feeling. They will remember the moment a wrecked Bugatti came back to life. They will remember the internet celebrating what seemed impossible. And they will remember the day Bugatti CEO responded to Mat Armstrong and shocked the entire automotive world. Because in the end, legends are not created by playing it safe. They are created by taking risks, refusing to quit, and continuing to move forward when everyone else says it's over. And that is exactly what Mat Armstrong did. The journey may have started with a broken Bugatti, but ended with something far greater, a story that proved passion can rewrite expectations, inspire millions, and even capture the attention of one of the most prestigious names in automotive history. And if this incredible adventure has taught us anything, it's that sometimes the most unexpected response is the one that changes everything forever. And just when it seemed like the story had reached its perfect ending, another realization began to sink in. The rebuilt Bugatti Veyron was no longer simply a car. It had become a symbol of what can happen when determination meets opportunity. Every scratch, every repaired panel, and every perfectly fitted component represented a battle that had been won. For Mat Armstrong, this was more than a mechanical achievement. It was a fulfillment of a dream that many people thought would never become reality. Around the world, fans began rewatching the entire series from the very beginning. They remembered the first time they saw the wrecked Veyron and laughed at the idea that it could ever drive again.